Welcome in, everyone. Excited to see everyone. I see we have Singapore, New York City, Illinois, India, all over the world, which is really exciting because we are definitely talking about a topic today that's going to impact us globally. We are launching the Founders AI Lab today. The information that we share today is stuff that is by far some of the most life-changing and industry-changing insights. You know, DFX is a platform that helps high net worth and family offices connect to deal flow and alternative investments. Alternative investments including the venture capital world, the private equity and M&A world, and the commercial real estate world. And specifically what we've seen with founders and operators is the lack of ability to go out and raise capital successfully because of what's happening with AI. So we want to walk you guys through what we're seeing, the data that we're tracking, the tools that we're using. And with DFX being a platform itself that started a year and a half ago or so, a little over a year ago, we want to show you how we've utilized AI in our own company as well. So we're your hosts. My name is Alexis Morgan. I'm the head of capital strategy here at DFX, and I'm joined by our founder and CEO, Jesse Wachowski. And we're here to help guide you through the session today and showcase to you what resources we've gathered to share regarding AI. A little bit of an agenda, what to expect today in the two hours or so that we have. We're going to go through a little bit about our platform, what DFX is, and the launch of Upper Echelon, how to actually get access to Upper Echelon and use it to benefit your company. We definitely want to know what brings you here. What are some of your intentions of being on the call? What is one thing you're looking to learn, and how have you already kind of got exposed and utilized AI? We'll double click into the why AI is important right now. You know, truthfully, I don't need to tell you AI is important. Jesse doesn't need to tell you AI is important. If you haven't heard about AI yet, you know, you're living under a rock, and I assume most of you guys are here today because you want to learn the how. And so we'll go through that too. What tools you're going to be using, what tools can actually help you facilitate the utilization of artificial intelligence inside of your company. We'll go into a little bit about the community that we host here in the Upper Echelon and the community that you'll have access to as you move through your AI training lab education, why that's beneficial to your journey utilizing AI. And last but not least, we'll showcase our Founder AI Lab and kind of provide some insights and some pathways for those of you guys that are listening throughout the entire Zoom. Some of you will determine, hey, I want more of this. I like this. I want to actually not just hear about it and learn about it, but learn how to implement it and use it. And so the Founders AI Lab is what we'll show, you know, for the ability to be able to do that. And last but not least, we'll have some Q&A. So if you have questions throughout the entire Zoom, you can feel free to drop them in the side chat or go and raise your hand, and we will reserve those for the end and make sure to answer every question before we close out here. So super exciting agenda. Again, we have a lot packed. We've done a lot of research and preparation for everyone here to get the most out of the Zoom. So I hope you all have your notebooks ready. It's about to happen. Let's continue. Perfect. So this is where we start. Guys, this will be recorded. Recordings will go on afterwards. But before we go into everything, before we jump into the agenda today, we want to understand who's actually present right now. What's your role? Are you a tech founder? You can put it in the side chat. We want to hear from you. We know you all are all around the world, but what's your role inside of the company? Why do you want to use AI? Are you a tech founder? Number one. Are you a founder that has not related to tech? Maybe an operator, business owner, you founded that's not related to tech. Are you an investor? You know, are you deploying capital right now into opportunities like AI, into founders, into businesses? And last but not least, you know, there's service providers. Or you're someone here that's like, I work with founders, I serve founders, or I serve investors. Put in the side chat, you know, who you are, what you represent. And we'd love to get to know a little bit of the audience here. I see a lot of founders in the chat, tech founder from Africa, founder CEO. So perfect. Just from a show of hands, I'm curious also, how many of you are not using AI yet in your business. And I'm not talking about like ChatGPT. I think we can all agree we use ChatGPT, we consult with it, we help it, we use it to help write our emails, right? But how many of you haven't really figured out yet, how do I use AI inside of my business? Put a 1 in the chat if you're still trying to plug that hole. How do I use AI inside of my company? Not just externally to help me write emails. Put a 1 in the chat if you have not figured that out yet. Okay. So we have a couple people. And then I'd like to see number 2, if you are utilizing AI, you're on the brink of it. You're starting to figure out, okay, AI can help me match this system or write this email or start this campaign. Put a 2 in the chat if you already are using AI inside of your business as a part of your technical infrastructure. 2 and needs improvement, Valerie says. I think we all have a lot to learn there. Yeah. And the tech is changing so fast, right? The tech is changing so fast. So really cool. A lot of founders here, a lot of tech founders here. I see Sherry says 2 and lots to learn. David says I'm using MCP. So we have a good mix. But really good to see that there's a lot of founders here. That's exactly who this program was made for. So we're happy to have you. Thank you all for being here. Let's continue.
All right, so I'm going to come in here and talk a little bit about DFX, where we started and how we are transitioning to upper echelon and what this means for our community and also for this AI program. So my name is Jesse Wachowski, founder of DFX. DFX Deal Flow Exchange is a community of investors and founders and some lenders and others that are collaborating on deals across the globe. Right now, we have somewhere between 900 and 1,000 deals live on the platform. We have many thousands of members. And this has all grown over the last basically year and a half since the launch in March of last year. Now, when I started this company, the premise was fairly simple. Let's make deal making much more accessible, much more economical, and much faster. And if we can do that, then we can scale very quickly and be across the world within 2 years. And that's exactly what we've done. But this was before the AI revolution really had kicked off. ChatGPT was already out. But if you look at the numbers, and we'll look at some of this in a little bit, over the last 6 months, AI has exploded in usage and people are now building companies very, very quickly. So what used to be a network that would grow both sides of the marketplace linearly, where we would have the investor base, and the investor base was always about 20% of the network, and the founder base was about 80%. And these grew linearly very quickly. What we're seeing now, though, is the investor base growing linearly and the founder base growing exponentially. And in a couple of slides, I'll cover all of the whys of that. As a business, everything we do at DFX was built to pay it forward, built to help as many people as possible. It's kind of radical to go and start a business and not worry too much about the revenue and just really try to help. But that's what we did. And it's been incredibly impactful. We've helped many, many people, and it's been a great experience. Our value proposition is rapidly changing because in this new world, startups doesn't cost $1 million in 12 months to build a startup now. It's a couple of weeks at most and a couple $1,000s at most. And because of this, the barrier of entry to entrepreneurship has changed forever, and it's only going to be a tighter and tighter window to start a company. Now, what does this do for founders? Well, it means that you are all competing with many more people and many more businesses than you were before. And we'll cover, again, these in a further slide. But as a business for ourselves, we can't sit back and say, well, we're just going to continue to offer the same value proposition, because we know that day by day, the founder base is growing much faster than the investor base. And that's just not the right business to offer groups that are looking to grow and looking to raise capital. So we had to sit back and analyze, okay, what is going on in the ecosystem? How can we support as many people as possible? Stick with the same mission. Well, to do that, we actually have to approach our business very differently. We are building an extremely high vetted, trusted network of investors. These are mostly family offices and ultra high net worths and some tier 1 fund managers This is what is the inner circle of upper echelon. It's a much higher price tag. They're co-investing. They're going to be doing a lot of business together and collaborating. Now, in this future world of a couple years out from now, 95 to 99% of what we see is going to be AI created, video, audio, written, everything. And we're already seeing that get closer and closer and closer. So for us as a business, building in trust, building in a moat around our network is very, very important. And that's what we're building. Now, we can also not just let every founder into this network, because we need to keep the noise down as much as possible to make sure that they can see the signals. So with that, we need to sit back and think, okay, well, we do want the founders that should be in front of this audience and to have a pathway to get in front of this audience. And to do that, these founders, they need to be founders we are comfortable putting our stamp of approval on at DFX. And that led to us starting to build out this AI program, because we know that we're on calls with VCs, we're on calls with angels, we're on calls with family offices every single day, meeting these people in person and building for them. Because at the end of the day, if they're investing faster, the founders are winning faster, right? It's kind of a chicken and the egg situation. So with what we have built, it's essentially a pipeline into this upper echelon. So the AI Founder Lab teaches all of our founders who come through it how to optimize their business and essentially get the most out of every dollar that is invested in the future and every dollar that they've put in. In this way, the companies themselves can be optimized. And then when they're optimized, they're much more investment ready for this audience. These VCs, these family offices, they want to see founders get much further along these days. They want to see founders leveraging the AI tools as much as possible these days. Now, this program also is something that we need to keep evergreen to make sure that it's a very compelling offer. So this program, we will be basically the core of the program will be the same. The teachings will be the same in general, but the tools that we will be implementing for every new session will be different. I can guarantee you that the tools we teach you through this program will not be the same tools next year that are the best in what they do. And then this is the AI cycle. Everybody's talking about this AI boom and bust. It's not a boom and bust. It's exponentially getting better and better and better, as we all know. The boom and bust is that the AI tools might be building on a large language model that is the best right now, but then a new model comes out in a couple of months, and then a new model comes out in a couple of months. So the ones that are using the most current technology are the best, but they can quickly be obsolete. So as a founder, you have to go from tool to tool, basically learn it, be the best with it, and then discard it and pick up the next tool that is going to push your business forward. And the founders that do this will win. And I like to think of this, if we want to compare it to a time, when the Europeans came to the Americas, the Europeans had superior technology, right? Superior weaponry. And the Europeans were able to take over the Americas. Now, if we think about that in business, it's the same thing right now. Companies that are leveraging AI to the best of the abilities have the superior technology, and the superior technology will always win out. Civilization and business are very similar in how they function. So you have to think of, how do I stay ahead of everybody else? And those are the companies that are going to win. And that is what we're doing with Upper Echelon. So we basically have this AI lab as a bridge from DFX into Upper Echelon. And then those founders can be part of this community and be part of this ecosystem, whereby these very vetted, high net worth individuals, family offices have access to this deal flow. And I believe, Alexis, if you want to come in here.
Yeah. Yeah. So on that point, I mean, it's clear as day, the money it wants to flow to good deal flow, and knowing how to get resourceful with AI is part of the project here. It's part of the intention here. Just again, getting a feel for what your motivations are, right? Some of you guys are founders, some of you are specific tech founders. Some of you have utilized AI and admit, okay, I still have a lot to learn. And some of you haven't utilized AI at all. But getting more granular, what are you here to learn? Are you here to learn how to leverage AI in your operations, in your marketing, in your copy? What is it that brings you here today? Share your intentions in the chat. And we want to know. We want to know because at the end of the day, we want to hit on these points and make sure to bring the resources and the answers for the biggest problems that you're facing. Magnus says marketing and ops, Puyan, automation, efficiency, marketing. So yeah, drop your intentions in the chat. We want to know why you're here so that we can make sure to serve you to the highest ability. Brent says speed, marketing is a big one, networking and funding. So Liz, funding is a big thing. That's going to be huge for you to, just as Jesse just described, the AI Founders Lab, the training program, and being able to utilize those resources to get to funding. What's that?
No, we lost you for a second, but you're back.
Jesse, you there? Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay. No worries. Liz, to get to funding, that's going to be key. So let's continue.
Okay, so the why here, essentially, as Alexis mentioned, you all understand the why from the high level, right? We're seeing AI everywhere. AI is winning out, and there's a reason for that. So I've written a couple books actually on these topics. They are available, so go do some research. Just a shameless plug. AI is compressing time significantly. So if we think about, a lot of people compare it to the Industrial Revolution because of the impact that the Industrial Revolution made on a lot of work that was originally done by hand. The fact of the matter is the Industrial Revolution unfolded over decades. So there was a long time to kind of adjust and society to adjust to it. If we think of a closer comparison, think of cell phones and the impact that cell phones have made and the impact that technology has and how far technology has come over that time. And before that, it was computers, right? So this compression of time keeps getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And then when ChatGPT released, over a 2-month span, they got 100 million users. And then from here, the AI technology is just functioning exponentially, and they're building AI that can build further AI. So what we're going to continuously see as a society is things speed up and speed up and speed up faster and faster and faster and faster. That we're in a whole new world. And I'll get to why this is actually a good thing for society in a couple of slides. But right now, it's a lot to process, right? And what we're seeing, as mentioned before, is this boom and bust in the tools, right? AI is not boom and bust as a collective, but VCs have invested a lot of money in AI companies and companies that put AI wrappers on and things like that. And what is going on is the technology gets better and better and better. So the tools become obsolete faster and faster and faster, right? So you have this situation where it's never been easier to start a company and build it and gain revenue, but it's also never been harder to defend your company. And I like to use Salesforce as a great example of this because Salesforce is going to face some significant challenges. They're down between 20 and 25% on the year. I haven't checked it today, but Salesforce is a massive company in the CRM space. Number one in that space. They were worth over $300 billion to start the year. Now they're in the 200s, 250 or so. And they sell by the seat. Their software is not necessarily optimized, especially for the early stage space, because it's a high price tag. Now, we are seeing companies challenge them and gain market traction faster than ever. And what's happening is this whole cycle of no company is safe because everything can be replicated so fast. So what is a moat today, right? How do you build a moat? Moat and defensibility is all investors want to know now, because I can guarantee you whatever technology you're using and you're building on right now, a company could build what you're building better in 6 months. And that is the challenge for the investor today. That's why investment dollars are becoming so hard to come by in the early stage space. Now, the human moat, the human element, is what we as a company are concentrated on. And I would recommend thinking about it for yourselves. What can't be replaced by AI is often the human pieces of it, especially in the early stage space. Then you can get into real estate and others, that'll take some time. But from the moat perspective, us as a company, we're building this incredibly highly vetted network, and networks are very hard to port from one place to another. Somebody could have better technology than us for sure, especially in the future, but we will have the relationships, right? Same thing with partnerships. If you can partner with great groups and you can grow alongside each other and be that partner that protects one another, that is a huge differentiator as well. So just start thinking about these things with your business, because you may have a great idea, you may have it already to market, you may be generating revenue. Focus on your moat. And if you don't have a moat, focus on your exit. That's, just take that with a grain of salt, because I haven't spoken about your business before, but that is what I would recommend just in general to people. There's this thing called Jevons paradox. This is something that's not talked about enough right now. Humans are being forced to become more and more efficient. So Jevons paradox was something that started around the Industrial Revolution. This theorist, the last name was Jevon, obviously put his last name on it. He was talking about how coal became less and less expensive, and because of that, it was used more, right? So it became more efficient and it was used more. Think of gas and gas stations too. You can think of how, okay, cars came out and then all of these gas stations popped up across the country, and cars could then travel more, so they used more gas, right? We as a society are facing that with human capital. And what I mean by that is all of us on this call are being forced to be more efficient than ever to keep up, right? And it is overwhelming. It is something where you have to stay on top of things or you will fall behind. And that kind of mentality puts a lot of mental pressure on and mental stress and strain on everybody in society. And we're seeing that. So with this being the case, there's two sides to it. A, you do have to stay up to date with everything that is going on, and you have to know which tools are the best so that you don't miss out on massive opportunities, because there'll be some of the greatest opportunities of all time in the short window of the next couple of years to make incredible amounts of money. But to do that, you need to stay up on top of everything that's coming out. Now, you also have to take care of your mental health and mental state. It's too much for that. So that is why us as a company, part of this Founder AI Lab is us doing all of that research for our founders and making sure that our founders are well informed and know how to implement this kind of technology and being some of the first to use it. And that way, our founders can concentrate on what they do best, which is building their business and growing their network. Now I'm going to go into a couple of different slides here that go over a lot of what's happening in the market, in the economy, and should be thought-provoking. So one of them is this search. Now, these next four slides, they're Google Trends searches from the United States. So essentially they show what people are searching for in the United States. This one's showing a comparison between can't find work and build a startup. We can see that can't find work is at an all-time high since 2004 when these charts go back to. Build a startup is also at an all-time high and has essentially gone vertical. And what this is showing is that society is in this gridlock right now, and people are not able to find new work. It takes a long time to do so. And then when you start a new job, there's the risk that you're laid off very quickly because the jobs become automated. The AI is implemented in different ways. It's also never been easier to start a company and launch and get it to scale. It's never cost less money. It's never taken less time. So with this being the case, this is the start of a super cycle of entrepreneurship. We are just at the forefront of it, where over the next 3 to 5 years, we are going to see a lot of jobs in middle class America and elsewhere in the world become obsolete, right? There will be some people implementing the AI, but AI largely will replace many, many workers. And those workers will not be able to find work. So then they will turn to entrepreneurship, because why wouldn't you? If you could start something quick, there's never been a better time to take your idea and take it to market. This is something that everybody should be thinking about with your business, because again, it means that there's a lot more competition. It means that valuations in the early stage space will be constrained because of the amount of competition and because of the access. And you, as a founder or as an investor, need to think this through in terms of how do you position, how do you win in this situation? It's going to be about using the best technology. Now, here's another one. This is finance startup, a search that is finance startup in Google. We can see that when we started this company was around right here. Things were basically how they were the last 10, 20 years. So this, the company that we started with DFX was based on this because we did not know what was coming at the time. Now, we were very early adopters into the AI. I used AI to build the platform pretty much. Not much of a coder these days, but essentially we've seen this kind of chart increase to basically, it looks like 400% essentially, or so. We're going to continue to see this scream up. This was just taken from earlier data, so it shows like this, but it's going to be much higher month by month. So what this means is there's a lot more competition to finance a startup, which means that the lenders, the investors all can ask for better terms. It's going to drive valuations down, which I know founders don't want to necessarily hear, but it's the truth. There is going to be this devaluation in the space, and it's going to be harder and harder to get early stage companies financed. It's important to know that, so that you're not spinning your wheels and wasting time when you could actually be building your company in a much faster capacity using these tools. Now, we're also seeing a big impact in the upper tier of white collar work, which would be legal, accounting, these things that have been great professions previously. They will be the first to be replaced because you have all these startups coming in, all these founders of early stage companies that want to do more with less, that aren't going to spend $500 an hour on an attorney. They would much rather implement AI, right? So these individuals in these law firms, in these accounting firms and elsewhere, they will start, we're already seeing the entry level positions in those firms certainly be eliminated. We're going to continue to see that up the ladder, and it's going to change society because you have all of these great professions where people went to school for many years and spent a lot of money on the educations, and now they're obsolete. Think about the impacts this makes and think about where you want to be and where you want to be in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, right? How do we position today to be in the forefront of tomorrow? That is what we do at DFX. That's everything we're concentrated on. And how can we teach our founders to do that? And this is another one just because it creates the loop. So how to fire employees, how to replace employees is also at an all-time high and continues to go up. You can see the trend here. And this is just a beginning to the super cycle. So you'll have more and more people laid off. You'll have less people hiring, and it'll go into that can't find work, build a startup mentality. And entrepreneurship will become safer than looking for work. And society has never been in a situation like that. Now, the silver lining here is this is not a terrible thing by any means. This is a renaissance. A renaissance is a rebirth. Now, corporate America and corporations across the world, they have very much taken from society in a lot of capacities. AI is giving the creatives the ability to build the most amazing things in a quick time period. So if you ever wanted to do something amazing, your window of opportunity is the next 3 years. After that, it is going to be harder and harder because things will consolidate to the top of the companies. But it is an amazing time to be an entrepreneur right now. I couldn't be more happy to be one. I know that Alexis feels the same way. And if you embrace the technology and you use it as a tool, you can win in this environment, but you have to be at the forefront of it. Now, in terms of harnessing AI and what we're doing, essentially with the founder lab that we built out, we have many, many tools that we'll be going through. And I believe there's a slide later on that shows where they fit. I know marketing was a big one, sales was a big one, a couple other spaces. There are essentially tools for each vertical of your company. And in this AI Founder Lab, it's an 8-week course. 6 of the weeks are basically going from department to department. How do we make this department as strong as possible using the best tools that are out right now? And we'll go from department to department. Each one will have a good number, but also we have an AI toolkit that guides you through how to implement. It guides you through how to get free access to them, all sorts of things to make your company more efficient, to save you a lot of money, a lot of time. And the ROI on this lab and then entering the upper echelon is significant, because if we can make your company X% more efficient, then it is well worth the price of admission.
Yeah, and just touching on some of the things that you said, right? Why build inside the community? Why join the Founders AI Lab? One of the main things that you said that really hit home for me as an entrepreneur, and if anyone else resonated with this, please feel free to drop that in the chat. But there's already so much work to do as a founder, right? You have to build your team, you have to manage the company, you have to make sales, and then adding keeping up with AI to that to-do list. This is why we built what we built. We want to be able, and we will provide those resources to show you guys the research that we've done as a company on what tools are working in each individual department. And so inside of the 8-week training program, there's a curated cohort of people just like you all here. I've seen a lot of you put in the chat, I want to stay connected to everyone. I want to stay connected. I'd love to stay connected. This is the opportunity to stay connected with your fellow founders and operators. And in addition to that, there's 2 calls a week. We have speakers, very specific speakers coming in who have either built an AI tool themselves and used it, or have leveraged an external AI tool to change the way that they operate and run their company. So there's live feedback with experts, there's live feedback with your peers, and that's the power of community. That's the power of doing this together rather than adding to your to-do list. Okay, I need to research what tool, I need to research what came out, what's changing, et cetera, et cetera. You have access to the mentors, you have access to our team, you have access to the peers here that you see in the chat. And most importantly, for some of you guys, at the end of this 8-week training program, you'll actually get the opportunity to come in to upper echelon and get access to an investor network, right? That's the end goal for a lot of us. I see in the beginning, a lot of us are looking for funding. This is the pathway to get there. So let's continue. Always love this quick poll. Jesse, where would you put yourself on this? How proficient are you in using AI tools right now? Guys, put in the side chat. Where are you at?
I think our team would be a 9 or 10 for sure. I think it depends on the tool, to be honest with you. So some tools I am a 10 for sure. I use AI. I probably use AI a disgusting amount to most people. It is just what I've ingrained myself in, because I know that it is the future. I am constantly prompting. Definitely 10 in those scenarios, but there's a lot of tools that are other parts of the business that, fortunately, as the founder of this company, we have been able to build out different departments and different leads, and they are 10s across the board in their individual departments. I myself may be a 5 or 6 in some tools, but fortunately,
Yeah.
we have the infrastructure, but it took time to get there.
Yeah, there's so much to learn. I think I would totally agree with that. A lot of the team here at the FX is way, way better than I think I would ever be. And it does come down to the individual tool. I see a lot of 6s, 5s, 4s in the chat. So it's all across the board. I think the important thing to highlight here is whether you're a beginner, you're literally just, finding out about how to use your first AI tool. You've maybe played around in ChatGPT and you're trying to understand how to leverage it more. Or whether you're a 9 or a 10 and you're proficient, there's always work to be done when utilizing the fast changing technology.
What's also interesting about this is, like, there's some that I would say I am a 10 in today, but I know that that tool will be replaced in 6 months or a year or 3 months. and I will be back to square one on the next one. The adaptability though will be there, right? So I'll be able to take what I learned, take it to the next tool. Usually there is some sort of relationship in general in how they work, and I can start from say maybe a 6 or a 7 as opposed to a 1 on the next one. So just something to think about, especially with all of the tools that we'll be covering in this course and that you'll have access to. It's essentially going to take something that's very scrambled. Think of when you dump a puzzle out, and there's puzzle pieces everywhere. That is daunting, and it's hard to even start. Where do you start, right? Well, we've put the puzzle pieces together in their blocks, and you just have to piece together the ones that fit your company the best. And that's what we're doing here, and that's what we'll continue to do.
Absolutely. So biggest challenge right now, we touched on this a little bit in the beginning. For a lot of you, I saw marketing, sales, operations, management, fundraising. So these are all things that we are going to cover. Jesse, let's go into what the Founders AI Lab is actually about. So what are we actually, providing here? What can you expect as an attendee, as a student inside of the lab here? Well, number one, we have 8 weeks of live expert sessions. So like I mentioned just a couple minutes ago, we're bringing in people who have either built a tool themselves that they utilize for their specific business, or have utilized an external tool to showcase to the group what does the implementation and utilization look like, right? We're here to expose you on how these tools work, not just showcase and say, hey, check it out. We want to show you the proof of concept on how these tools work. And so each
Yeah,
go ahead, Jesse.
I want to highlight one thing on that. So we've got together some great speakers in this course, and these speakers, for instance, one of them is part of a research group. He's a professor working alongside MIT and Harvard. He's
Love it.
he's part of a open AI research group. He's also been the inspiration for some Black Mirror episodes, which if any of you are familiar with, it's a Netflix show that is basically, it's sci-fi, but it's near future sci-fi, what could be to come. And him and I had an incredible conversation the other day, very philosophical about all this. So that's going to be an awesome call. We have former executives of some of the biggest companies in the world that are going to be a part of this. We have such a great lineup of people who will be speaking, and you'll have access to from the Q&A standpoint, and then some of the follow-up and everything else. And this is some kind of frontier stuff that we'll be talking about, Alexis.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking about the fact that it's pretty interesting. The guy who helped write Black Mirror episodes is also heading up the some AI development. I mean, that is that. Oof, I have goosebumps.
I have some insights that I have some insights that I didn't have before in terms of when AGI comes out and things like that, and
Yeah.
really, it was a very interesting conversation.
Love it. Love it. Like Jesse just mentioned, he highlighted a few of many speakers that we have coming in to serve this community. Secondly, we're going to have replays of every single session. If you're not able to make the live session, you will still have access to the information and the action that we kind of showcase in each one. We're also providing a AI tool action items, again, templates, resources, and workspaces to be able to take advantage of what we discussed. Some of you will be able to pitch your deals, pitch your opportunities, pitch your businesses at the end of the workshop. And the community aspect, right? You have a WhatsApp group to connect with each other, to connect with your peers, and also to ask questions in between the live sessions. And last but not least, we have a list of tools that are there as a bonus if you want to do some extra research and extra homework outside of all the awesome things that we're providing inside of the 8 weeks. So digging deep into each week, right? What are we going through in each week? This is where I would say if you put in the beginning, marketing, sales, operations, fundraising, this is where you should pay attention, right? In week 1, we're going through the foundation and validation of a new company. So whenever you're starting a company, when you're a founder, you want to make sure that you have your MVP, right? You want to put something out there that people actually want, that there's demand for. So we'll show you the tools that help you research, that help you bring that proof of concept to the marketplace and help you build and showcase what that MVP actually looks like. In week 2, we'll go into prototyping. So actually getting the foundation of your product or service off the ground, things like no code builds and how to do user testing in the beginning. Week 3, we'll focus on marketing and branding. So what AI tools can help you with SEO? What AI tools can help you with copywriting? What AI tools can research what's working right now in the field of marketing? Week 4, we'll focus specifically on sales. So we're talking about funnels, how to take someone from a cold lead to a warm lead to $1 in the bank account and retain them. And in week 5, we'll go into operations, things that help you on the internal side of your company, like infrastructure, onboarding new employees, creating SOPs so that those employees are successful, even things like managing your finances and making sure your books are good, which is very, very important if you're considering taking on external capital. Week 6, we'll continue in finance, modeling, pricing, analytics on what's working, your product's pricing. Week 7, how to scale with AI. What does it actually look like to utilize these systems at scale? And finally, in week 5, we will help you go to market, right? It's time to actually determine if we can launch and get you funded. So let's continue. Finally, that is the course. You have access to this today. This course, I think it's listed right now. This training program is well worth over $700, $600. But today, you guys have the opportunity to get into the program, 8-week training program for $299. So the code is here in the side chat. It's also here on the screen. If you want to pull up your phone and scan the QR code, you can utilize the code EARLYBIRD and make sure that you get in today. This will not be available for a long time. I think the next slide shows some timelines to be aware of. Just see if you could click that. So for today only, you can get in with the early bird code at $299. And as a bonus, for those of you guys that come into the program today, these particular individuals will have the opportunity to get into Upper Echelon with 6 months of a complimentary membership. And so remember, Upper Echelon is the platform that allows you to access the investor network. It allows you to list your deal and have the opportunity to pitch on pitch tanks with real live VC investors. So that's today only. 72 hours from now, 3 days from now, we still have the early bird discount, but you'll lose that ability to get in and join the Upper Echelon and have the ability to pitch your deal and get that funding. So for those of you guys that mentioned funding in the beginning, would highly recommend you go ahead and scan the QR code and enter that code EARLYBIRD to get access. And then finally, before we start on October 29th, we'll go into the standard pricing. So standard pricing will end 3 days from now, and we'll kick off our program on October 29th with our first session of onboarding and orientation. And of course, just as you saw in the last slide, we'll have the experts come in shortly after. What's up, Jesse?
Yep. And just so you are aware, in the future, as we do these AI labs, it will be $999 following them to join the Upper Echelon, because that is such a just coveted community. So this deal that we're running today, and even for the next 72 hours, is significant in terms of just the pipeline in. There will be, the initial founders will have the best advantage in this whole environment. So certainly recommend it. There are limited spaces because we do want to keep this tight as well to make sure that the quality is significant as we pass through. So I would say if you're interested, it is best to act today.
Yeah, and on that point, there's limited seats available. Again, the quality has to be high. At the end of the day, for those of you guys that come in today, you'll have the opportunity to be in Upper Echelon and pitch your deals, have the opportunity to get funded. We've been talking about this internally for maybe a week or so, and not very long, and we already have people who are signed up. So for those of you guys that are on the call today, there's limited seats available. We want to make sure that you get a spot in. All right. So some Q&A. Let's do some Q&A. I saw one question in the chat. Will these be recorded and shared? 1 a.m. live sessions are doable, but won't be as present. I love that commitment. Yeah, so the sessions are 100% recorded and distributed to the attendees, to the members after the call.
Okay, Lyra, on our team just wrote, drop your questions below. So if you want to just submit them there in the chat, happy to answer them.
Yeah, any questions regarding an AI tool? How
Yeah,
to utilize AI?
Yeah, so is AI good for organic growth? AI is the best for organic growth because you are able to leverage a tool that is going to do a lot of the work for you in terms of outreach and other things. So when I think of that question, it's more so how do I when we think about AI, it is basically how do I make my business more efficient today? Now, it could be from the go to market, it could be from the operations, it could be from HR, all of which are good for organic growth because essentially, when we think about growth in a company, we're comparing revenue or top line or bottom line to the spend, right? So top line being revenue, bottom line being profits. Well, if we can lower the spend internally and your organic growth can just be what it is, well, it's going to be good for your organic growth because you're going to be taking home more money at the end of the day. And then if you implement it on the front facing side of your business, organic growth can mean many things, but with leveraging these tools, you will be able to move faster naturally. The code should just be early bird, all capitals.
Yep. So for those of you guys that are signing up, I see we have a couple people already signed up and secured their spot. The code is early bird, all caps, one word for that today discount.
How can AI help beverage startups accept marketing and sales? I'm assuming you mean in general outside of marketing and sales with that. The same idea. Every company at its foundational core has different departments that are necessary. Now with AI, it's more of building a skeleton company and not necessarily building out full departments that will get groups further along earlier. So that's important to think about too. But the tools that we will cover and the teachings we will cover will be able to be implemented across the board. It doesn't matter if you're in real estate, doesn't matter if you're in beverages, CPG, doesn't matter if you're in energy. Everything that we teach will be the fundamentals of how to make your company better. Now, the technologies we teach will change, but the foundation of how to do more with less from department to department is something that is evergreen and something that you can take with you forward. How long are each session in the lab? Most of them will be an hour. The first half of that is essentially a keynote with some of these leaders in the space, and then Q&A following that for a couple of minutes, and then us diving into the department we'll be talking about from a high level. This is how you implement these tools. This is why you implement these tools specifically, going into the benefits, going into the things to be aware of and watch out for. And then we will have the whole AI toolkit and some resources, a lot of resources for the founders to then be able to leverage. And we will also be reachable and accessible throughout this process to make sure that you're getting the most out of the program. Can AI be helpful to rural people who don't have access to net and electricity? I love that. AI is coming for everybody. So yes, I think knowing this goes back to what I was saying at the beginning of the call, where in the United States, we're ingrained in AI. Everywhere you look, it's AI, AI. Elsewhere in the world, there is so much opportunity because AI can be brought to these locations and you can be on the forefront of it. So if you're in a rural area that maybe doesn't have access to these things yet, you are going to be so far ahead of your peers in your area by tapping into something like this. It'd be like if we were tapped into the beginnings of AI years ago. So I very much think that the opportunities are not just in the United States these days. I think that there are massive opportunities cross border, and those who are leveraging these technologies that may not have reached the areas yet will have a distinct advantage. Let's see. Any other questions here? Alexis, I'm pumped for this. This is gonna be a good course. AI is the future. I got the idea of AI in 2019. I gotta say, Sam, AI has been around for, at least the thought of AI has been around for many decades. But that's good.
I'm really excited. This is something that's going to be ever changing and it's coming. I'm very excited to be able to showcase how we utilize it and expose some of the stuff that actually moves the needle in terms of internally on the company side.
Will the course allow us to use AI to make the new hire process smoother and cost efficient, like instead of using recruitment partners? For sure. So we will be covering HR as one of the departments. We have a lot of processes internally in that capacity. We can definitely shed some light on how to do that, of course. Also, in general, recruitment is going to be a very interesting space. Now, not to, put the cards down on the industry, but essentially you have a time when a lot of people are going to be obsolete from a skill set perspective. So that is just something to think about when you're thinking about your business. There's a lot of talent out there right now that is very good, but also you have to be cognizant of spend because you have to be able to do more with less. So there's never been a better time to start implementing AI in that capacity. New AI hardware will be built by Light Tech with electronic. Let's see, I'm scrolling. Are you ready for this? I'm ready for everything. I think my team can back that up. I'm ready to make sure that we are in the forefront of all of this. We are in the forefront of all of this in terms of what is going on, where society is going, how to win. And that is everything that I concentrate on, is how to make sure that DFX and upper echelon, we have a sustainable advantage for the years to come. And then that is what all of you should be focused on too for your businesses. Let's see. Why is the community built on WhatsApp versus Telegram or any other product? There are a lot of reasons internally that we use WhatsApp. It's something that is very well adopted and adapted to in the United States. So that is one of the reasons. Yeah, Matt, love the ethical AI now kind of stuff. Unfortunately, AI moves faster than governments. AI moves faster than governance. So just as we saw recently, so Sora 2 came out, OpenAI's video builder. It's the second version. First was in 2024, second now, so not even a year apart. It's unbelievable how much more proficient it is. And we saw a lot of misuse of historical figures, specifically MLK. They just released a report, and basically they've made it illegal to use historical figures in their likeness without people's approval, right? Without families' approval and things like that, which makes sense. But they knew that was going to happen. They knew it would be misused. They knew they could release it and then go back and slap some hands instead of actually doing something proactive, because of the amount of disruption it's going to cause, because of the amount of shares and likes and usage that it's going to cause. This is the mindset of a lot of these leading AI companies. Silicon Valley's mindset has been move fast and break things. We're seeing them do that on a societal level. So how do we as founders position, how do we get ahead? The ethics side of this whole space, in the future, ethics will be more and more and more and more of a focal point going forward than ever in history, because once AGI is released and once AGI is connected to quantum computing, we're looking at maybe a 5-year period from this actually happening. Essentially, every answer in our society, everything will have an answer, and everything will have an answer that is the highest reward for the lowest risk. So then it becomes, what are we asking as a society, and what are we coming together on? And that's why us as a company, we're building this trusted vetted network of people that are very much in the forefront of the private capital ecosystem, because it is the only thing that we can do to make sure that we are helping shape this future and build this future, and hopefully layer in a lot of ethical conversation throughout, and you'll be hearing that more and more from us. Yeah, Microsoft's acted its ethics teams in 2023. Yes. So what's hilarious about all of this is I prompt all day long, and I prompted ChatGPT on which companies working on AGI are the most ethical on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being a Patagonia type. And OpenAI, it said, was a 6 because they partnered with Microsoft, which they gave a 5. Essentially, all of these companies that are leading the space, they're acting in ways that most of society would deem unethical in certain capacities. So it's a really interesting time in that. I mean, I could speak for the rest of my life about how I feel about all of that. Pankaj, great point. Fake videos are coming, right? The challenge there, and what's amazing too is like, not, this isn't necessarily, maybe they used AI to automate this, but I just got this message today from one of our employees. Essentially, it's somebody who is just texting and using my name, and these kinds of scams and things like that are definitely going to be out there. Plus, on these calls, you won't know if this is me or if this is something that I have replicated and taken my voice and taken my mannerisms. This is all coming in the next couple of years. Now we have an election cycle in the United States in 2 years. So with all of this AI content, with all of the bots out there, things like that, trust in society is going to change. And again, it's why we're building this trusted network of actual human beings doing business. Nothing wrong with AI. Yeah. I agree. AI is a tool, and AI is an incredible tool that will do incredible good. AI will also be used in ways that, obviously we all know. It does beg the philosophical question about technology, and hey, is a technology so advanced actually good for humanity, right? Or is this becoming a post-human thing? So maybe we'll have another whole philosophical, ethical course following this about where AI is going, with some speakers that we are very well connected to. Let's see. I think most of this is just basically people expressing
Comments and statements.
their thoughts. Yeah. All right. Are there any last questions here? Really appreciate all of you joining and staying on this long. I know that this is, it can be heavy content because we're talking about societal change on a magnitude that none of us have experienced in our lifetime. And there are individuals who are on this call that were, through a lot over the last many decades. The fact of the matter is, we've reached a point where things are forever different, and those who adapt are going to be the ones who lead this next era, and those who don't adapt to it are going to be left behind. And that is just where we're at. And I would rather be with the adapters and be at the forefront of the adapting. And would love to have all of you who are interested join us, and we will make sure that you are as informed as possible and performing to the best of your capabilities. And we'll take a lot of that mental strain, that mental drainage that comes with all of this off of your shoulders. So looking forward to working with many of you. Thank you for joining, Alexis.
Thanks so much. I will see you guys inside the program.
Beautiful. Bye.
Okay, great. That's my little block.